Hello guys, welcome to part 3 of our video series where we look at Python coding with your smartphone, right? How to learn Python with your smartphone. So basically in this part of the series we are going to look at how to actually use what we have learned so far to write something and save it, and we are going to do something simple, but we will apply all the concepts that we learned on part 2 and part 1 of our video series. If you haven't watched those, make sure you start with those. Okay. All right. So in part 1 and part 2, we looked at how to get inputs from the user, display them, and we looked at also the different data types, right, in Python that you'll get from most of the time from the user. So in this, let's look at how to actually make a program that runs with all that information. So let's actually calculate what is this an area of a triangle, you know? Yeah, I think that's simple enough to actually get the concept. So an area of a triangle, let me start by writing a formula here. We know that an area of a triangle, it's equals to, right? Equals to what? Equals to 0.5 times height, right? Times height times length, right? Something like that. All right. So now we need height and we need the value of the length from the user. And the way we would do that, it's we'll come here and say input, right? Input will tell the user to input what height, for example. All right, let's put some space. Okay, now which data type is this? Remember, we had three basic data types. We had an integer, we had a string, and we had, what is this, a float, right? We said an integer is just normal numbers, right? Whole numbers, 1 2 3 whatsoever, and so on. And then string is those ones with some those numbers or characters that are inside the quotations. And the float now is the numbers that have decimal places. So if I were to ask you a height, it will be what? Is it possible for a height to be 2.3 meters, you know, or it's just gonna be either 1 2 3 4? Well, I think you know the answer. It will be 2.3, 1.2, whatsoever. That means it's a float. It's a float number, right? So we would need to convert this into a float, right? So, and the way you do that, you just put it inside a float function like this. You just cover the whole thing inside the float. And notice something, I haven't stored it yet in a variable, right? Yes, that will actually get the inputs, but I haven't stored it. So we need to store that number so that we use it later, right? So I'm gonna store it inside this height variable, right? So that I can just use it here when I say height, right? And let's get length now. The very same thing happens with length. So length is going to be equals to float and input. Enter length. And obviously, if you know, when you are programming something, you want to make sure that users, when you ask something, they enter it in the right way, you know. So in this case, height can be in meters, centimeters, can be in any decimal. So you have to tell them that enter height in what, something like centimeter. Just put or just put cm there. User can understand it. Oh, this is a height in centimeters, you know. So yeah. Okay, now this, it will calculate the area, right? it will calculate, it will take the area, store it, it will take the inputs, store it in those variables and then calculate the area. Notice something, we are not actually displaying it yet. So in order to do that, we'll have to say print what? Print a. Let me just call this area, because just name, this is a bad naming. You want to name something, name it right. So area, yeah, like that. Okay, cool. Let's start the program and see everything works fine. So it's 4.2 maybe times what, times length. Let's just say 2. And now it's saying 4.2. So basically what is doing is telling me that that area of that triangle is going to be 4.2. And it's making sense, right? 0.5 times 2 is 1, and then times 4.2 is still 4.2. But look at it, it's a 4.2, it's not looking nice, So let's make it readable, because when it's like 4.2, I don't know what's 4.2. Is it an area or what's happening? So let's make it look nice. So, and the way you do that, we want to say, we wanna concatenate this. So we want to say the area is right. The area is, then the value of an area plus, we want to put some units. That would actually make it look awesome, right? So we want it to say the area is 4.2 centimeters, all right. But this is not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because here, this is a string. Look at the data type, it's a string plus an area. Our area is in which data type? It's in a float, right? This is going to be a float number, and we can concatenate two different data types. Concatenation ones, whether it's concatenation or we're doing mathematical calculations, we need to make sure that the data type are the same. So in this case, but let me run it and show you. You'll get the error though. So if I say 3 there and then say 4.1, you see we are getting an error, and the type of an error can only concatenate string, not float, to string. You see, now let's just go and fix that. That's the error I was just telling you about. So we need to convert this area back into a string, and the way we do it is just like the way when we were taking those inputs, right? They were in a string, and then we converted them into a float using the word float, right? Here the function, the function float, here you're just gonna have to wrap this one into a float function, and we'll look at functions after this, probably. Now this is in a string format. This is going to be in a string format because I'm wrapping it inside a string function str, right? So that string function, it takes whatever value, if it's in an integer or it's in a float data type, right? It converts it back into a string. Now let's run this. Now 4.3 it's 2.2 equals to, the area is 4.73 centimeters. You see, now that's nice. All right, so okay, now let's store our program. Let's just save our program so that next time we don't have to do these things. We just only input the user, we just only run the program and just input those put those inputs, and then it does calculate that area for us. So you can open any folder. I've created one on my site in the internal storage and called it Python files, so you can create your own folder and then store it there. Select folder and type in the name of the folder. So I'll call this one a calculator, because that's what it does. It calculates, right? A calculator. Yes, save it. Now we have this calculator file program, right? It's like your normal calculator, right? So it's like your normal calculator, but this one, what it does, it specifically calculates an area of a triangle. So next time, if I close the program and open it, like just like I did, and I want to run that program, I just open it and click on that file, and then you say open, and then go to where it is, right? Mine is in the internal storage, where in the Python files, all right? There it is, my calculator. There it is, and I just run it. Then I do any inputs, right? And then it will calculate that particular area for me. All right. So, well, that's it, guys, about part 3. I wanted to show you how to actually do this. Notice something here. You can create a calculator of anything in your business, right? If it's a business or in your work area, any calculator, you can create it. Something that you want to calculate fast. And these are still basics. We're still covering basics. You will see more and more stuff that are coming on how you can actually apply coding into many things to actually simplify your lifestyle. Anyway, let me know, how did you find this video? If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button, and if you disliked it, make sure you hit the dislike button and leave a comment so that I can create a better content in the future. Until next time, cheers.